Hi friends, it's Marlisa, Stitchy Noir here on YouTube and on Instagram, and welcome to my channel about mostly cross stitch and a little bit of classic film thrown into. Um, really glad that you're here. This is Flosstube number 4, and thank you to those of you who have watched my videos and liked and subscribed and all of that good stuff. And if you're new here, welcome also, and hope you like what you see. So it is rainy where I am. I live in South Florida, and we've had a pretty decent drought all summer. Normally, if you're familiar with South Florida weather, the summer's our rainy season. It rains, it's hot and humid, and it rains, and typically it will rain every day, and even just for a short time. But for most of the summer, it's been dry, weirdly dry. Now, I guess the upside of this is that we've had very little hurricane activity, knock on wood. So we'll have to see what the rest of the season shapes up to be, because September into October is often the busiest time. But now it's starting, though, to get into the normal pattern of rain every day, and that's good. It does kind of break up the punishing sun that we have here. But you know, so it's a little gloomy outside today, but I'm not really minding the rain, because it's been so hot. And mind you, if you know anything about Florida weather, the rain here doesn't cool things off. It makes things steamy. But at least you don't have the sun beating down all the time. So this is the price that we pay for having nice January weather, I suppose. So anyway, I've got several things to show you today. One finish, and it happens to be an FFO, a fully finished object. So let's get right into that. So this is my last finish for the summer. Labor Day is upon us, and I really wanted to get this one done before the official end of summer in Florida. Speaking of the weather in Florida, the summer, it's a long summer. It doesn't really end, so to speak, until maybe Christmas. But it's gonna get a little bit better in the weather. But it's the official end of summer next week. So this is Bigger Boat by Sew Needle Juice on Etsy, and it's on 16 count toasted almond. Fabrics by Stephanie. And this is just the 5x7 frame, so you can get a sense of, I don't know the stitch count for this one, but you can get a sense of how big it is. It's not very big. There's a lot of stitching packed into this design. This was the 50th anniversary of the movie Jaws, for those of you who don't know. So that's why I really wanted to do this and get it done this summer. So this was a start, I think, in my last video, and I was really hoping to finish it up, and I did. So lots of really great details. If you've seen the movie and are fans of the movie, then you can recognize some things as far as the characters, you know, Quint and Hooper and Brody, and their little, you know, their accoutrement, you know, here. Quint has a bottle, for instance. So again, if you've seen the film, you know. But I love the shark. I love his teeth, the way his teeth came out with the shades of red there, and the swimmer and the shark on the border, and lots of just really cool little details that correspond to the film. So I'm really happy with this, and this will be one that'll come out every summer with summer stitching. And so this is my only finish since I last spoke to you. So anyway, that's done, which is good. And now summer is transitioning out. As we talk about whips now, I have one non-Halloween whip. Everything else is, well, actually that's not true. I lied already. I have my full coverage that I'm going to show you, which is not Halloween. But in terms of normal whips, so I'm going to, this next one I'm going to show you, I'm going to be putting this one away now, I think, because I do want to turn my attention to Halloween. And this is a summer stitch. Well, summer, it's nautical, so I think of it more like summer, but obviously nautical is all year round. But I tend to work on nautical things over the summer. And so this one is Leave a Light On by Teresa Lehman. And this is what it's going to look like when it's done. And this is what mine looks like right now. It's on 16 count navy, Ada. And it's 187 by 187 as far as total final stitch count. So you can see I'm working on the lighthouse. I had wanted to get the lighthouse more done. I mean, by the time I was going to put it away, but that's just not going to happen, and that's okay. I mean, I usually start something for my mom's birthday in honor of her every summer, and she loved nautical things, so I tend to do something related to nautical and lighthouses and the sea and things like that. And I like to finish it over the summer if I can, and this one is, I didn't realize how big it was when I bought it, and so it's just gonna have to carry over till next summer, but then I can look forward to stitching it then. So the lighthouse is only made up of a couple of colors, but there's a lot of stitching in this, and it's going to be a good size when it's done. But that's going to go away for now and wait for me for next summer. So that's the future of that, the near future of that anyway. Okay, so then Halloween. As I'd mentioned in my other videos, I think I'm a huge Halloween fan. Halloween's probably my favorite season to stitch, my favorite type of stitching, so I like to get going on it early over the summer. And so I've got one whip that I carried over from last year, and then the rest are new starts from this year, and there will be more, I think, that I'm starting before this year is over, but I'll get to that in a second. So this one is Morticia's Second Line by Dirty Annie's, and you can see what it's going to look like. This is 200 by 170 as far as the stitch count, and mine is on 14 count Lapis Lazuli by Silk Weaver, and here's what we've got so far. So I've done a lot of work this month on the carriage, and so you can see the carriage and the coffin is getting there, and that's where I'm doing. This is a really fun stitch. It's not difficult in the sense that it's not a lot of color changes and doesn't, which makes it wonderful to stitch on, especially when I'm watching Flosstube or watching TV or doing things. I can follow things pretty well, and I really like the way it's coming out on this blue fabric, which is setting it off nicely. Not exactly the called for fabric, but still, close, and I think blue is a wonderful choice for this. So my plan now with this is I'm gonna finish the carriage, moving over here to this side, and then that second wheel, which not entirely looking forward to that wheel because the first one was challenging, and then going down and doing the rest of the dancing skeletons. And so that's that. Morticia's Second Line, that's where we are. I'd love to finish this year, but we'll have to see because I have other ones that I definitely kind of need to get finished, which I'll tell you about right now, actually. So my next whip is Garden of Erie by Plum Street Samplers, and that is this. So it's a riff on Adam and Eve samplers, and here is my progress so far, and this is on a Be Stitch Me Friday Night Fight Night fabric, so it doesn't have a name, 16 count, and its stitch count is 176 by 161. So this is essentially the bottom. I mean, there's a little bit of a border on here, but that's basically how, and this is more or less the top. So this is, vertically where we are as far as the size. And if you can see that this has wrought by me on the bottom and place for, you know, your name and so forth. And I think I'm not going to add that. I'm just gonna leave it off at the bottom there. So the stitch count is a little bit smaller for mine. But anyway, I love this fabric. This Bestitch Me fabric. It's got this sort of these cracks and it looks, I think, really nice with the coloring. I'm using the called for colors, which are all I think they call for NPI, but I'm using DMC. So I just finished this cloud, which you're like, okay, big deal, but the cloud was formidable. There's a lot going on in the cloud, 3 colors and a lot of stitching there. But then there's another lightning bolt that's going to come down here. I'm kind of saving Frank and the Bride for the end, if I can do that. And I probably, although we'll see, I don't know, I may just work my way down this way and get going on that. But on this side is Frank, and there's a little tree and a vulture here, so that's going to be the next fun thing to do. But that's where we are with Garden of Erie. And the reason that this is kind of a priority for me is that we, my husband and I have an annual Halloween party, and we always have a theme. And this year is our 20th Halloween party that we've thrown. So it's a big year, and our theme is Universal Monsters. Universal Monsters or Universal Horror. I can't remember which one we decided on, but you know, similar. And so with Frank and the Bride, I wanted, you know, I try to do cross stitches every year that kind of align with the theme. It doesn't always work out that way, but for this there are plenty of cross stitch designs that align with the theme. And this is not my first, you know, Frank and the Bride stitch, but I did want to do a new one for this year. And then I have one that I haven't started yet that's going to be in my plans to start. That will be a Dracula themed one. And so if I really want to get those 2 finished and fully finished before the party, and then work on the other Halloween stuff that I have intermittently. But those are my priorities because that has a deadline to it. So and then my last Halloween whip to show you is a Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow. This was my birthday start at the end of July. And is there anyone here probably who hasn't seen this pattern? I mean, this is so many people have done it. And this was really one of those starts that I was really, really looking forward to. And so I did start it on my birthday, and I think when I last showed it to you, it was basically just the border of the first square. It is 371 by 278 total. Each block is 92 by 92, which is super helpful as far as staying organized and counting. And then I'm starting in the left-hand corner, and here's where I am. So I'm really liking how this is coming on the fabric, which is mostly kind of all bound up here because it's so big. I had to get a fat half in order to accommodate this, because and that's 18 count. So it's 18 count Bell from Grace Notes fabric. So even on 18 count, because I'm an Ada stitcher and that's the highest I can really go for seeing purposes. But so a lot of fabric here, but I'm trying to keep it contained anyway and neat and clean. But there's the first block. So getting that house done, and normally I'm not a huge fan of houses, but these have quite a bit of interest in them. So you see that's the first block, and that's where we are. So lots of, I mean, that window is just awesome. And so I'm not really sure how long this is going to take, or how much I'll do this year, but I'm really enjoying working on this. I had started, brand new birthday start project. I started, got a new needle and an 18 count pony needle that I was saving for the occasion. And not, I think, with the border. I don't know, maybe it was in the border, but practically it seemed right out of the gate my needle bent. I barely breathed on it and it bent. So I'm not really sure why that happened, but then it just wasn't to say I wouldn't straighten, it kept bending, and so I just had to get rid of it. But so new needle, things are going more smoothly now, and I'm really enjoying the stitch as a whole. And I'm using it's all the calls for Witch's DMC, which is awesome. So there it is. It's hard to put this down, really. I mean, it's a really enjoyable stitch, and those of you who have already stitched it know, and you've probably heard people talk about it, and I think that's great, because for something this big that you're really in it for the long haul, as long as you're happy with your fabric and everything and whatever, this is not, it's not going to be a chore, which these bigger projects can be that way sometimes. So this is really so not a chore. It's very enjoyable, and that bodes well for the long haul nature of this stitch. So okay, now my last WIP to show you is a WIP that I showed you. I think it was in my WIP parade that I did, which was like the second Flosstube that I did. So, and this is my full coverage. This was my first really big full coverage. That, I mean, I've done some small. It was a gift from my brother and sister-in-law, and so on my birthday. And this now, I think, and you know, I meant to look it up before I started recording, and I didn't. When I started this, I am thinking it was 3 years ago. I'm thinking it was 3. Maybe it might be 4. I don't know. So it was a little bit of a learning curve for me. This is what the finished one will look like. This is Medusa Imperatrix Mundi from Medusa Doll Maker and kitted by Gecko Rouge. I have heard that Medusa Doll Maker patterns are no longer sold by Gecko Rouge, so I don't think this would be gettable unless from some other way. So this is what she's going to look like when she's done, and I'm just using 16 count Easy Grid Ada, but this is now 50% done, which I am so excited, I can't even tell you. So this is where we are with her, and so I am going just page by page, and that is her. So, you know, you can see how these snakes are coming around here, and her jawline is finished now. I mean, you've got, you know, with this part here, there's like 1 stitch left there for that on the next page. But yeah, so I don't have the stitch count for this. I looked in my, when my brother gave it to me, he printed out all the pages, and, or no, I think it was a kit, so it came that way. So I don't know where the page is with the stitch count. I could calculate it, and maybe on the next update I will. I'm not going to show this every time, even though I work on it twice a week. I stick to that because that's the only way it's ever going to get done. So I'm trying to be regimented about that, and make sure I put time into it every single week. So it's moving along, and I'm only going to show it though when I hit a milestone. So maybe 55% or 60%. I mean, it takes about 2 to 2.5 months, 8 to 10 weeks. I've been keeping track to do a page. So each page is 5%. So and the bottom part are not full pages, and they're just this purple, the monochrome. So I think that's going to go faster. There she is. She's so beautiful, very regal. And I love her fingernails. Those are amazing. And her very regal and imperious sort of face. Whoops. So that is where she is, and I actually only finished last night. I work on it Wednesdays and Sundays, and I looked on it last night, and I looked ahead to the next page, and I'm sorry to have to say, sorry for myself really, that it's going to be a bad page. It looks to be, it could be the worst one in terms of confetti, actually. I'm not certain on that, but it looks bad, and I'm thinking, well, is it just me? Am I just thinking it looks that bad? But I looked at the other pages that I finished, and I'm like, no, this is the worst one. So sadly, on the heels of this, of the lovely 50% mark that where I am, we're going into some serious confetti. So I really hope that, you know, and I'm going to lose a little bit of time because I'm going out of town and I'm not going to be taking her with me for about 10 days. So she's going to lose a little time, and you know, we'll see. But we're gonna forge ahead, and look forward to her finish sometime, hopefully in my lifetime. We'll see. So, all right. So that's all my WIPs, all my works in progress. Starts, none. I had just started a couple things, as you remember from my last video, and that's, you know, one was a finish and one I'm still working on. So no starts, although by the time I see you next in about a month, I will have, I would say, at least 2 more starts, and I'll be looking forward to showing you those then, but none for today. So as far as acquisitions, not much quantity of acquisitions. One very significant acquisition, which was a birthday gift from my husband, but it was a pre-order. It didn't get to me by my birthday, but I have since received it since I last saw you. And that is Witchy Stitching, the book by Meg Black, the Witchy Stitcher, who I'm sure many of you know and love her work. And this book is so good. I mean, I'm sure you've seen, there's been flip throughs on Flosstube about it, and lots of people posting about it. And it's everything that everybody says it is and more, especially if you like her work. And if you don't know her work, this book is an amazing way to learn about her. There are some incredible patterns here. And so since there have been some flip throughs already, I thought what I would do is just show you my 5 favorite things. And I plan on stitching more than that from the book, but just like the things that I really love about this book. Sampling. But before we get into that, you know, there's other great things about it. It's not just a pattern book. She's got all this great stuff, even for like beginner stitchers. There's lots of great little tips and tricks and explanations of supplies. And you know, I've been stitching for 25 years. And I'm you know, reading through this, and I've learned different things. And so, you know, she's got how to make your own bookmarks. You know, there's pre-made bookmarks you can buy to stitch on, but she's got a really great little tutorial on how to make your own. You know, there's other ways, there's many ways to do that, but she has one that I think is really great and not difficult. How to antique your fabric yourself. You know, things like that, which are terrific. Just add-ons in addition to the wonderful, wonderful patterns that she has. One thing that's really funny, which I really, how many times can I say really, that I enjoyed so much about this, there's a stitching vernacular section. So like a glossary of terms and sayings that stitchers say, from the common ones like FFO and WIP to other ones that that I had not actually heard of. So for instance, a WTF was the last one in the vernacular glossary here, meaning waiting to finish. And then it says, not what you thought, eh? So I've never used that. And does anyone use that? Has anyone actually used that? Maybe I just haven't, you know, been tuned in properly. But waiting to finish is WTF. So that's a pretty good one, I think. And also what she has in the vernacular, stitching buddy, which is furry friend, stuffed animal, even human that is with you when you stitch. So I thought, since she sort of validated the stitching buddy thing, I thought I would share with you my little stitching buddy. And this is my little monkey that I keep with me when I stitch, and this is Sweetheart. All right, say hi to everybody. And you can see on top of his head, he's got my orts, where he holds them until they get too heavy for his head, and then he falls over and loses them. But he's been with me since I really got into stitching when I first got married, and he sits with me all the time. So I thought I'd share him with you for his Flosstube debut. And then let me show you the the patterns that I just absolutely adore in here that I think I'm gonna maybe stitch first. And she's got them organized into various section categories. So for instance, there's a a witch section and so forth. And this one is called Know Your Power, and it comes from that first witch section, which is really wonderful. Very inspirational message there. And those colors, which again doesn't scream, if you didn't want it to scream witch, it doesn't. I mean, it can be interpreted that way, but it's very, very broad in terms of its positive message. And that one is 86 by 104 stitch count. Most of the patterns in here are, the models are stitched on 14 count Aida, but obviously you can do them in whatever. And black Aida quite often, not all of them, but lots of black Aida here, and that doesn't bother me. I have so much that I've done on black Aida and will probably continue to do. So this one is a Dracula one. It's called Dracula's Castle. I am probably not going to do that this year because I am already on deck, have a different one that I think I'm going to do. But look at this amazing pattern. The reds. I mean, it's done with DMC, and it is just stunning. I just love the gothic red effects there. And this is 120 by 100 as far as stitch count. And it's just DMC ombre effect. So just amazing. Amazing. So next one is not strictly speaking Halloween, but Halloween adjacent, I suppose, and that is Carnivorous Plants. And very accurate renditions of the plants. So many good ones here. Not just your Venus flytrap and so forth, but you've also got bladderwort, and you've got pitcher plants and so forth. So this one is 142 by 107. And then this one, really creative. This is a vintage Halloween Ferris wheel. She's got a whole vintage section in the book where you have a lot, and if you know her work, you know this is not the first kind of patterns like this that she's done. But if you like this, there's lots of them in here. And look at that fun. So that is just really, really cool. One of the Halloween things we've done for our party is Carnival, and so, which we will probably repeat, and that one is going to be a great one for that. And this is 138 by 153 as far as stitch count. And these are all I haven't gone through every single pattern, but I think they're all DMC, at least the ones I've picked out are. So there's that. And then finally, number 5 is there's a whole section in here called Haunted Holidays. So these are patterns that are not Halloween, but they're spooky themes on other holidays. So that's one of these is also a must do for me, and that is this spooky gingerbread house. I love the skeleton gingerbread men. I love so many things about these patterns, but this is amazing. So if you, as I do, have Halloween so close in your heart that it's really a lifestyle, not a season, this book, these patterns, are for you. So anyway, you can get this on Amazon and as well as other places. And Meg is Canadian, and in terms of physical patterns, that may be a challenge or non-existence in the near future because of tariffs. However, if you want the book, you can get it off of Amazon, I believe, still. So definitely check that out. And she will still be able to supply PDF patterns, but I believe she's stopped, as many designers have, she's stopped being able to ship for the moment because of the impact that the upfront costs are going to be having on her business. So in any case, check her out if you don't know her. If you do like her stuff and you don't have this book, you need this book. So it was awesome and a great gift for me. I'm really excited about that. So what are my plans then? Continuing with Halloween, essentially. Continuing with Halloween. My whips that I'm doing, 2 new starts happening, and by the next time I see you, I hope to have, will I have it finished? I don't know. It's possible. But at least 2 new starts to show you Halloween-wise, and then really getting close to October, probably at that point. And I'll look forward to talking to you about all other things Halloween that we can talk about. So the last thing I'm gonna mention is, as I've been talking about a classic movie that I can recommend from YouTube. So when I do this, these are classic films, usually film noir from the 40s and 50s, and they are available on YouTube. I will link the film below, and usually under an hour, 90 minutes or under. So quick views. So this one that I wanted to recommend to you is called The Scarf. Hang on. That's the poster for it. And as I think I might have mentioned, one of the things that I do is research into film posters, and this is one of my favorites. If you look at the 2 ghostly hands pulling that scarf across the image and the face, and the plot, and also not suitable for children, which I love. Of course, now this would probably be suitable for children, but so this film is from 1951. It stars John Ireland and Mercedes McCambridge, and you may not know them as actors. They're John Ireland I love, and he's been in lots of films, a lot of westerns, but other films too. And he had a career into television as he got older as well. Mercedes McCambridge was in some really big films in supporting roles, like the film Giant with Rock Hudson and Elizabeth Taylor. And also, fun fact, she was the voice of the demon in The Exorcist. So, in any case, she's just like, a fairly normal woman in this film. And her character, by the name, is named Cash and Carry Connie. Cash and Carry Connie. That gives you a sense of how a little bit over the top the film is. But so the plot of the film is that John Ireland plays a man who is an escapee from a mental institution, as they used to call it, an insane asylum, as it's called in the film. And he is accused of murdering his girlfriend, which he has amnesia, so he doesn't remember that he's done, and he escapes to try to figure out what really happened. Did he really do it? And then his trials and tribulations as he goes on that journey. So the film it's really interesting. It does have a lot of themes that are common in film noir pictures, like The Wrong Man, guy accused of thing he didn't do, and he has to now try to clear himself in one way or the other. Wrong place, wrong time, one poor decision, and there you have it. So wrong man story, and also, as was common in these films, amnesia narratives, very, very common. Sometimes returning veterans, sometimes not. But here you've got a situation where the character has amnesia, and people are telling him he did this thing, and he doesn't think he did, but he's not sure. So he has to go on sort of a detective mission to be able to figure out if he's really the criminal that they say he is. And the threat is always, as you're watching this, like, well, is he going to find out that he actually really did it? And often, usually it's not that way. But and I won't tell you which way it comes out here, but this idea about finding your who you are is a big part of these films, and this sense of the search for identity, and they use the amnesia as the vehicle to drive that point home. So it's a really interesting and fun film. So I hope you check it out, and if you do, let me know what you think of it. And I think that's it for today. So be brave, be strong, be true, be well. I appreciate you spending time with me, and look forward to seeing you next time.